Good morning and welcome to the Thursday session of MolyFit Live. And the Thursdays is a bit more laid back. We're just going to gently cover everything we've done, and then after that we move on to, I forgot what it's called. Gemma, what are we moving on to? Move yourself to health, which is just dealing with a bit more mobility. Sorry if I'm a bit flushed. Well, as Gemma's husband says, I think I'm going through my midlife crisis. I had a car accident a couple of weeks ago that completely smashed my car up, and it was upset an old back injury, so I've got sciatica running down the leg. And in my wisdom, I thought, well, let's get a bit fitter. I don't need a car, it will save the planet. I'll cycle everywhere, not really realising that I'm probably doing it between 50 and 70 miles a day on my bike, cycling between my clients, and I just managed to get here with the skin of my teeth this morning, so excuse the faff. Right, let's start. So we're going to start with what we left off yesterday, Tuesday, which is opening the chest with a chest stretch. So if you stand tall, feet hip distance apart, soft knees, activate your core. So remember everything we went over on weeks 1 to 3. Activate your core, neutral spine so it's not arched. And then hands by your side and just lift your chest. Okay, visualize the chest. It starts from the sternum, it goes all the way across here and attaches in the upper arm. And we're just going to open that up. Good. And then from there, we're going to go into a chest stretch. So remember there were 3 stretches. I'll go over all of them with you. And we'll start with the easier one first. And when I say easier, the one that's going to be less prone to cause injury. So if you have got a bit of neck ache or shoulder ache or limited mobility, then do this stretch. So hands on the hip, fingers and thumbs facing forwards, and pull the elbows together and just hold that there. And we're going to hold that whilst remembering to breathe, whilst remembering to keep the core on. And we're just going to hold that for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Good, so let's go into Chech Stretch Two. That's a hard word to say. Right, and that one, what we did there was we make a fist, like so, halfway up the back. Pull the elbows together, so it looks like this from behind, and hold it there. And let's hold that for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Now chest stretch 3. That's the bit more difficult one, but it really does give the chest a good stretch. So if you can do it, stick with this one. Link your fingers together like so, behind your back. Straighten your arms. And then push your hands down to the floor and then pull away like so. Okay? And we'll hold that. Nice big breaths, remembering to breathe, and let's hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lovely. So the whole point of these, the whole point of stretching the chest is just to open up your torso and get you standing up straight. Because when you stand like this, because the chest tightens up and pulls the shoulders forward, it makes you much more prone to falls, and that's what we're trying to stop. We're trying to make you less prone to falling. Right, so let's go back to what we did last week and strengthen the upper back now. So this is a nice simple one. Hands by your side and squeeze those shoulder blades together. And let's hold it for 10 times this time. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. So if I do it here, and you can see me from behind, when you do the stretch, you just squeeze the shoulder blades together. So you're squeezing the shoulder blades together, and it's a nice subtle movement. You shouldn't see too much t-shirt movement and the shoulders flying back, okay? Because we're not doing that. We're just trying to activate these muscles here. So let's try it. Feet hip distance apart, core on, open chest, and now let's squeeze the shoulder blades together and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. So with these exercises, I give you 1 or 2 exercises to do every day for each week. Now, when you do them at the end of the week, you don't have to do them all the time, just do them every now and then, okay? Every now and then, once or twice a week, do the shoulder blade squeeze just to make sure it's nice and strong and the muscles are not atrophying. And also do the chest stretch, do that every day at the end of the day, just to open it up, because you know the stress of the day makes you tight and pushes you forward, so it's always good to stretch afterwards. Okay, so let's go into some breathing exercises. How have you been? Remember, the biggest, most difficult thing when you're using your core is remembering to breathe. So let's try that. Let's try and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Feet hip distance apart. Activate your core. So just a quick reminder, from the groin up to the belly button, draw in the muscle, lift it up to the belly button, and you should feel something tightening there. That's your core muscle activating. That's the thing that comes round the waist and protects your back, keeps you nice and straight. So keep that on, and let's breathe. Okay, so let's just hold that there and breathe for a minute. Let's go. Nice big deep breaths. Good, hold it there. And what we're going to do here is when we get to the end of the minute and we release, let's see if you manage to keep your posture where it is or if you flop down when you relax. Good. So we're 30 seconds in. Nice deep breaths. Remember, keep that chest open. Try and keep the shoulders down, nice and relaxed. Chin parallel to the floor, eyes facing forward. Good. If you can feel any niggles, if you can feel any pain anywhere in the body, then that's obviously an area, that's your body letting you know that there's something wrong. Because I always say, listen to your body. So by forcing yourself in the correct anatomical position here, you might be upsetting muscles elsewhere. So make a note of those, and then you can stretch those off at another time. Good, so that's a minute, and relax. Now, did you stay where you were or did you flop down? That's a good indicator of how your core is. If you didn't flop, it means you're really working your core. Brilliant. Right, so that's enough waffle on today's session. So what I'd like you to practice for the rest of today and through the weekend is just opening the chest. Try and keep that chest open, but when you're opening the chest, keep your core on. And then a couple of times a day, do whatever chest stretch suits you, do a chest stretch and really stretch those chest muscles. And then next week, we're going to start actually working the muscles of the leg and start the strengthening program. So what we're going to do now, for those that have got a little bit more mobility, we're going to move on to the Move Yourself to Health section. And I thought what we'd do today is we'd do some strengthening work. We'd do some strengthening work for the thighs and the upper back. So it'll probably be about a 10-minute session. So you will need a chair, and also you'll need a tea towel. So if you haven't got a tea towel, go off and get one. And I'm going to use the lovely Gemma as my victim or model or demonstree. So if you like to sit down. So Gemma sits with good posture. So in between the MolyFit sessions, I do a bit of personal training with Gemma. So she should know what she's doing. She should sit straight. Now, what we want to do when you're sitting down, try not to use the back of the chest. Sit yourself up straight, open your chest and keep your core on. Hands by your side. And we're just going to start with a loosen off to roll the shoulders. So up and back. And let's go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. So now what we're going to do is just an exercise to strengthen and also loosen off the tight muscles in the upper back. And we do this with a tea towel. You want to fold it in half and half again, and then hold it like it's a bar. There you go, Gemma.
Thank you.
So, when you pull the tea towel, you want it underneath the bust and you want your elbows as far back as you can. Right, let's go. Nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, good, 9, 10, good, and rest. So what we're going to do now is make sure that you're breathing. So there's a few there that you weren't breathing.
Yeah.
And that's normal. You know, you think when you exercise you'd naturally breathe, but you don't. You end up concentrating on the exercise itself and what you're doing and forget to breathe.
I actually wasn't breathing then. Yeah, you're right.
So what we're going to do now is always when you're exercising, on the force, you breathe out. So the force of this exercise is the squeeze. So that's when you breathe out. So start with a breath in, and as you pull back, breathe out. 1, good. You're right, you count, I'll talk, because I can't count and talk at the same time. Good, that's it. And what we're doing here is we're working with our breaths. So we're working the exercise with our breath. Good.
Can you do it, breathe with it on every one?
Yeah, every single one. Good. Rest. So if you're, when you're exercising, you don't want to do it quickly. So otherwise, if you're doing it too quickly, the quicker you move when you exercise, you're going to miss out muscles. If you do it slow and controlled, it makes sure you work all of the muscles, you work all the muscle spindles working together.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're sort of halfway and you're not working all of the muscle.
Okay.
So you see it on massive bodybuilders, the guys that just work their arms.
Yeah.
Now, when you do like a bicep curl, you start from here and come up to there. And a lot of people just like, doing that. And then when they tense their bicep, they've only got half a bicep because they haven't worked this bit, because they're just, So nice and slow with breath and squeeze again. Let's do a third set, squeezing into the shoulder blades. And like on that shoulder blade squeeze, you're trying to get your shoulder blades to come together each time. I think that's 4, isn't it? Yeah. 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 more, 9, and 10. Now, how did that feel?
Yeah, it felt good. I didn't realise it was actually difficult to breathe at the same time. So it's really made me think about my breath and exercising.
Good. Right, so now if you take the T-tail, what we're going to do here is we're going to stretch the chest and strengthen these muscles here. So again, you've heard me waffling on for a few weeks how important it is to keep a nice loose chest, but also we want to strengthen these muscles here to make your neck a bit more resilient to tension and headaches. Now with this one, it all depends on your own flexibility and what's going on in your joints. We're going to do the behind the pull T-tail. Now you might be able to pull behind the neck, or it might feel too tight. If it feels too tight, just pull the T-tail to the top of the head, okay? But what you want to do is hold the T-tail right at the ends, arms straight, that's it, and then pull down behind the neck, good. And you don't want to go any lower than the shoulders. Some people might be really flexible and they can go right down here. Don't do that, because it's just putting too much pressure and strain in the shoulders. So that's perfect. You can see your breath's excellent, good. How's that feel?
It feels good, yeah.
Good. And what we're doing here, we're strengthening here and we're stretching there. So let's stop at 10.
I've lost count there.
And 10 and rest. It's nice to know it's not just me. Right, so let's have that. And this is a lovely thing to do. You can spend all this money on gym equipment, but you can get so much work done with a T-tail. Just doing the mid-row and the behind the neck, that would sort out so many headaches and bad backs and also. So I definitely do that one at least once a day. At the end of the day, as I always say, to get rid of the tension. Now, going to put you under the spot, stand under the spotlight, stand up. Oh, did you see what she did? Did you see what she did, Gemma? I've taught you better than this.
I'm sorry.
Now, the first thing that happened there was hands were on the thigh. Then she leant forward slightly and then stood up using her back and not using the correct muscles.
My core.
So you didn't use the core or the bottom.
Okay.
And the knees went in a little bit.
Okay.
So what I want you to do at home is this. Now stand, I'm not even going to tell you how to, because you know how to do it. Stand up, perfect, and sit down. Good, rest. So if you think, how many times a day do you stand up from a seated position? 50, 60, 70 times? If you stand up correctly every single time, being mindful about the muscles you're using, you can make that into an actual exercise itself. So every 50 times you stand up in that day, you're exercising and you're strengthening those muscles. And the way to do it is make sure the heels are underneath the knees, feet hip distance apart, okay? Now you don't want to be too far back in the chair, otherwise you're making your life difficult. You've got too far for your body weight to travel. Then you take in a breath, because the force of this exercise, we're going to breathe out on the force, and the force is the standing up. So you breathe in, and as you breathe out, tighten your core, squeeze your buttocks and use your thighs. Keep your hands by your side and breathe out as you stand. Good. And slowly down the same way, sticking your bum back and rest. Good. Right, let's do 5 of those, and you'll really feel it in the thighs and the buttock and hopefully the core. Right, let's go. 1, 2, good. 3, perfect, Gemma. 4, 5, and rest, good. So the important thing with this one is obviously make sure the chair is safe, okay? It's propped up against something. You don't want the chair sliding across the room when you're going to sit down. You want the chair to be there when you sit on it. So yeah, like I said earlier, every time you stand up, activate everything and make each stand up an exercise. And if you're really keen, when you stand up and down 5 times and then go off and do what you were going to do. You know, there's plenty of ways that we can really get some good work done here. So now let's finish off with a loosen off and a stretch. So if you like to stand up in the correct way, well done, Gemma. So we're going to start by the Molly checklist. Feet hip distance apart, knees slightly soft, core on, neutral spine and open your chest. Arms by your side and let's lift up and roll back for 10, 9, loosening off, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. So imagine there's that massive tree in front of you, give it a cuddle. This is to stretch the trapezius, and if you lower the head as well, it just makes sure it gets all of the muscle fibers of the trapezius. It's a diamond shaped muscle going from the top of the neck into the shoulders and then back down into the spine here. And if you keep that nice and loose, it helps with posture and all sorts of things. Good. Now we're going to a chest stretch. Let's go to Chech Stretch 2. Make a fist behind the back. Pull the elbows in and hold it there. And remember to breathe. Okay? Again, if you hold your breath when you're stretching, it just doesn't make, the stretch won't work. So nice, big, deep breaths. Good. Let's hold it for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to finish with the neck. You can either do this sitting or standing, depending on how confident you feel. So just look straight ahead, stop your shoulders and your torso from moving, and just turn to one side. And you should feel, just hold it there, that's it, and you'll feel the stretch in the neck. If that feels a bit stiff and a bit awkward, you can use the back of your hand. So Gemma's facing the left, so we use the left hand on the cheek. That's it here, and just gently push it, and you can just intensify the stretch. But work within your limits. Don't overdo this. You don't want to and rip something in the neck. You gently guide it and just give it a little bit more support, because when you do this stretch, you want to be able to quite happily look over your shoulder, and if you're not there, then you can just give it that little bit extra help. So back to center, and then go the other way. So you can see you're actually a bit tight there. You're not going that far. Okay. There, so you can see you've given yourself that extra.
I can feel the difference.
Yeah. So nice deep breaths and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7. That's great, Gemma. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to center. And let's finish off just taking our chin down to our chest. Okay, and we're stretching the muscles at the top of the neck. Breathe whilst you do it. Try and keep everything else relaxed and just hold that for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Right, so that's it for today.
I'm going to go over there.
Turn us off. Well, I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 11:30. Have a great weekend, and until then, stay well and stay MolyFit.